Morning.
Hey, we're live. Good morning, CMR land. It's Blake and Aaron with
Hey,
the
Blake. Oh,
lovely
gosh, I
Sandy.
cannot hear you for some reason. 1 second here. There we go. Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
Good morning. So 8 years, huh? Are you celebrating an anniversary?
No, that is.
What is that?
1 second. I'm getting a
8
little
years
bit of
of
feedback.
8
That
years
is
of marijuana?
actually Health
What
City.
is? Oh, sorry, Health City.
Yeah.
You say marijuana.
So, there's a little leaf
Figure
up
out.
there in the. What is the leaf thing? I don't know.
That's
Oh, yeah.
their that's
Sorry,
their
Health
logo for
City.
8 years. Trying to figure out why I'm getting an echo here. Hold on 1
Anniversary.
second.
It's been 8
All
years.
right.
Has that been 8 years? I remember they opened.
Oh my God! Look what popped up on my thing.
What
From
popped up?
September 6th,
Oh, wow.
2011.
That was so fun.
Wow.
Right now.
That was
and
11 years ago.
No clue why I'm getting this feedback.
Oh yeah, now
You're getting some feedback.
we're
Yeah.
getting it now.
Hold on 1 second.
Bye.
Figure this out.
All right, it's Blake and Aaron. Time is 7:22. And what happened over there? I heard a thump. Okay. 83 degrees right now, real feel of 93, 83% humidity, and winds right now out of the east at 9 miles per hour.
I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
How's it going?
I'm okay. For some reason, I've got feedback on my end. Not sure what's going on.
Oh,
All right, well, you're coming in loud and clear right now.
Okay, well, we'll go with it.
What do you got for us?
So this morning, we have the RCIPS Air Operation Unit offering some assistance to CCI in their fight against crime.
And what is
the
CCI?
governor's office, Turks and Caicos.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yep. So the governor's office announced that after a significant spike in gang-related violent crime, resulting in 4 deaths last weekend, the government of Turks and Caicos has asked the Cayman Islands to deploy a helicopter from our RCIPS Air Operations Unit to provide overnight aerial surveillance of the most badly affected areas. So this is pretty interesting.
wow. Like just
Yeah.
keep it up all night long?
So they don't have their own chopper over there.
I guess not.
Is that a smaller island? I've never been there. Is it larger?
It's more than one island, but I'm not sure exactly how many. I know there's Grand Turk and there's a few other smaller islands as well. But I think population-wise, it might be similar to the Cayman Islands.
Actually, much smaller. 39,000.
40 low-lying coral islands, right? But I think only a few are primarily inhabited.
Yeah, so much smaller.
Wow, that's crazy then.
Yeah.
Got to get control
So,
of
yeah. The Foster's Group, in a bit of business news, has officially taken over Home Gas from Bauden Holdings.
I heard that. Or I
Oh,
read
wow.
that this morning on your Facebook page.
Yeah. Congratulations to them. It happened officially on September the 1st.
Any change in the service that we as customer?
No, I
should be
don't
worried
think
about, or?
customers will probably notice much initially. I know for a fact that Home Gas has been making some improvements to their plants. They're actually going to come on the show, I think, on Friday to discuss a bit more about that. But that's been in the works for some time. So there will be some improvements that will be noticeable in probably the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, we're a customer of Home Gas.
Yeah, we are too.
I like the service there, so hope it doesn't change. I'm
Yeah.
sure it won't.
Good for them.
All right. And we have a new vaccine clinic schedule is up. So the HSA is reminding people that you can still get your booster shots, or if you've not been vaccinated, the opportunity is still available to you. They don't yet have the new formulation of the vaccine, just FYI.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
And
I'm
still
trying
no
to figure
ETA
that one out
on that one.
myself because I need to get that one for my second booster. And
What is
Cayman
this
Airways.
different- hold on a second. What is the different formulation?
It's just like moved a little
promotion
different.
of Cal Thompson to the position of captain for 6 months, they claim, is much ado about nothing, despite what their own employees have shared with us and others. Cal Thompson will be retiring in September at the age of 65, which is the mandatory age at which a pilot has to retire. So apparently they decided to promote him to captain, and the criticism has been that he was promoted above other senior pilots who had been there, had passed the required simulation testing and so on. And so they felt that it was a bit unfair for him to get the promotion and only be in the position for about 6 months because of his pending retirement. And the feel was that they just wanted to give it to him so he could say he retired as a captain.
Well, okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, how long was he there with the company?
He's had a very lengthy career. He left for a number of years, and this is where the controversy stems, because he left for, I want to say, like almost 20 years and then returned as a pilot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's a nice nod. I mean, the guy had a long career with Cayman Airways, and he's retiring. You give him the nod of making captain, and happy days. The guys under him will get captain and take over. So I think that's kind of a nice thing, nice gesture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, they wouldn't agree with you, but there you go. So those are your news headlines for this morning.
What is I was asking you what the difference in the new formula is with the vaccine. Do we know a lot of information about that? Why is it different and why is it better?
Just add more to the strains.
Yeah,
New
so
strains.
it's going to be addressing the latest strains that are out there.
It's like the flu vaccine now, where they have to always update it. I would say that's where it was always going towards.
Got it. Okay. We'll catch Sandy's show right now on Bobo 89.1 FM, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday headlines. Have a good one.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, our segment with CMR brought to you exclusively on Kiss FM.
All right, so I have got to figure out, folks, why I'm having a bit of an echo this morning on my end, because I can tell you that this is going to drive me crazy. So hold on. Trying to figure out if it's just my microphone or what's going on. So good morning to everyone. I was messing with a little bit of the wires last night, and I don't know if I've inadvertently done something here. So bear with me. I've identified which of the, funny enough, which of the sliders on my board it is. It's the one that goes to, okay, let me see what's going on here. When I turn it up, I hear this echo of myself. All right, I think, nope, still didn't fix it. Oh man, this is gonna drive me insane. Hold on. Let's see what's going on here.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
Edition of the Cold Hard Truth. I am trying to figure out a little something on the inside of the studio, because for some reason I'm getting this annoying feedback that is going to literally drive me crazy. So I'm just trying to see what's potentially causing it. I have just discovered the issue. Wait a minute. There we go. That was, I think, simple. Hold on. Yes, I see the issue. Good morning, folks. My apologies. Just give me 1 second to do a few things here. But 2 mornings in a row, we've had that annoying blue screen of death, which is not a good sign. I've just emailed my in-house technician, aka hubby, and I said, "Listen to me. I feel like I'm Mr. What's his name from Cayman Brack right now, going, listen. You need to sort this out. Don't know what's causing it. I'm not doing anything unusual. I clicked on a button and bloop, there was that blue screen again. So not to worry, we go with the flow when necessary. So good morning to everyone. We do have Health City who's going to be joining us this morning. So might be fair to say that we better look at a backup PC just in case. All right, folks. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to Jose. Diamond Princess is in the house. Miss Sonia's here. Carmelie, wishing Carmelie a happy birthday. If you know Carmelie, send her some birthday greetings this morning. Alice is here. Katsina is also joining us. We'll talk about that a bit later on in the program. Marshall and Vernita. Good morning to Scott. Irvlin joining us from the UK. The beautiful Olivia is here. Good morning to Wee Wee. And of course, Miss Shirley and many others are starting to rejoin the link. So my apologies again for what appears to be a little bit of a technical issue. We will do our best to sort out long-term what exactly that is, because it certainly has me puzzled. And I'm just uploading a few videos that I had ready, and I've got to just grab those again. So we're going to welcome Mr. Shamari Scott to the program, as well as Dr. Benoit. Just give me 1 quick second here, folks. They're certainly no strangers to the program. They have been here before, and we wish to welcome them back. So, of course, everybody knows Shamari. Shamari is the Chief Business Officer at Health City, Cayman Islands. And he is also, every time I look at his background, I'm like, is he really using any of that gym equipment?
I need to get back on
this morning. He's also a very active member of the community, chamber president, keeps himself busy. He's a family man with 3 lovely boys. Is it 3 or 4 yet, Shamari?
No.
Notice I'm throwing a fourth one for you. I know it's 3.
3 in it. That's it. 3.
Are you sure? I'm rooting for you.
I am sure. Don't need any more. That's it. I told the wife she can get her daughters when they get married.
Oh my goodness. So wrong. So wrong.
3 and done. We've done Deputy Premier is always talking about the population numbers, right? How many you need per household in order to have organic population growth. Well, we've done our bidding. 3 is more than enough. Yes. But we're back. Good morning,
yes,
Sandy.
You're
good morning,
back. So good morning. You took a little bit of a break. So can you tell us what you were up to over the past couple months? Because we did miss you.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is anytime you go into a grocery store, people mention, they're like, wait, where are you? Where's Health City? When are you guys coming back? But typically during the summer, just knowing that most people are, in and out traveling and such, we typically take a break. And then when school starts back, we're right back here on radio. But it's good to be back. Obviously,
awesome.
Health City didn't stop, but we just took a little bit break from the radio.
Yes. So people do miss you for sure. Sarah's asking no radio. We should be on radio. Maybe try a little refreshing. I'll just double check with Chuck to make sure, because we did have a little bit of a blip again this morning. So yeah, I think we should be good. All right. So we also would love to welcome Dr. Benoit to the program. He is the Chief Director, Chief Cardiothoracic. Oh God, this one's getting me this morning.
Cardiothoracic.
Yeah, cardiothoracic and vascular surgeon. There we go. Bit of a tongue twister. Good morning to Dr.
Well. Yes.
Good morning to Dr. Benoit. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Sandra. Very happy to be back on your show.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome back. I must say that recently, I think a lot of people will know that I did a bit of a, not a bit. I spent an entire day at Health City, and I went through so many departments and physicians and the nutritionists and the experts, the OBGYN and just everyone. But I must say, Dr. Benoit, that I didn't see you. And I'm feeling a little bit fortunate that I didn't need to see you.
So, I was about to say that's a good scenario. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, Sandy.
Yes.
It was Sandra, if you are not seeing in the corridor or in the lobby, that means I'm happy here inside the operating room.
Yes, absolutely. So, I'm sure we'll have some opportunities to talk to you about some of your areas of expertise. But this morning, we want to focus a little bit on the broader picture, if you will. And thank you guys so much for just letting me know about the radio situation. So Chuck is going to get that sorted out for me, because, of course, we have tons of people who are listening every single morning. Right. Every single morning, on the radio, Bobo 89.1 FM. So we want to make sure that you guys are able to hear over there as well. So Chuck is going to get that stream started. But, Health City has been in the news lately. Shamari, it happens. You guys are often in the news for a lot of the procedures and, being recognized for the type of facility that you have. You've had some worldwide recognition. And so today we wanted to focus the conversation a little bit around the value of Health City and what Health City actually brings to the table. Now, there's so much here. I was just reloading some of the videos and we'll be going through some of those and sharing those throughout the program this morning. But it's fair to say that your facility is amazing in terms of what it does offer to the people of the Cayman Islands and beyond. So let's start with a little bit of a historical context. We know that you guys are celebrating your 8th year this year, and a lot has happened in those 8 years. So take us back in time about when Health City got started.
Definitely, Sandy, and thank you for that lead in. But just to state that our founder, Debbie Shetty, always has many different things to say. So it's great. You can just pull portions of his speeches and they're perfect sound bites. And
Mm-hmm.
one component that he would say is a solution is not a solution if it isn't affordable, in
Mm.
regards to the fact that 100 years after the first heart surgery, only 20% of the world, if they wanted to have higher level tertiary cardiac care, can either afford it or have access to it.
Mm.
And understanding that that was an issue. There isn't enough cardiac surgery that's happening globally, and it's not at a price point that the majority of the global population would be able to actually achieve it. And that was his mission. And another program will have to talk about his link with Mother Teresa and how she found him so that he could help children in need that needed cardiac surgery as well. That's another story for another day.
Mm.
But within India, cardiac surgery would have been around $8,000 or so, which if you multiply it by rupees would be, very, very, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And through this unique model, he was able to get the cost down to 1,400 US dollars. However, still deliver the highest level of quality outcomes. And that's why you would have had Wall Street Journal, who first covered him, calling him the Henry Ford of heart surgery,
Mm-hmm.
based on the innovation that he was employing within his private facilities. And he was always thinking about the fact that in the Western world, obviously, healthcare prices were spiraling out of control. As proof of
Mm-hmm.
concept, how could he develop the same type of model that he would have in India that would give you the highest level of outcomes, as well as do it at a fraction of the cost in a place like the United States, New York, South Florida, and the such. And in doing that, we set up Health City here in the Cayman Islands. And sure enough, after many years, we were able to show through the quality of outcomes. And once again, Sandra, that's a different program, but we have various indicators that actually outline from a benchmark perspective what the high quality levels are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we as Health City actually exceed 98% of all of those areas. And we actually publish those quality of outcomes on our website, as well as anybody who wants to come and can see it as well. And the fact that we were able to actually prove that in the context of the Caribbean, in the Cayman Islands, we're able to produce these high level outcomes and at a fraction of the cost that you would have in a place like New York or South Florida. You mentioned it, we've garnered much publicity from USA Today to Forbes, to Harvard Business Review. Even PBS did a documentary on Health City, specifically in the context of Dr. Shetty and the greater vision that he has at Narayana. I think yesterday you were trying to pronounce Narayana, but NH as we call the parent organization. So Health City has a great story. We came about during a time, people need to remember that it would have been back in 2008 that we had that global recession. It was the bubble burst, the financial markets were in turmoil. Even from a tourism perspective, they say if the US sneezes, we catch a cold.
Mm-hmm.
And if you will remember back then, and I was actually in the Department of Tourism, there was a significant dip because 80% of our visitors come from the US, and there was a significant dip in tourism. Government revenues would have been dipping, and that was around the time that our ratios from a budget perspective were not in line with what was agreed. And I don't know if you remember or not, but the UK took control of our budget as well. So there were many things that were occurring at that point in time, and the government of the day heard and understood from Dr. Shetty about the vision of opening a new industry that would be recession proof in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, in negotiations, Health City Cayman Islands came about, and here we are today. We have medical tourists, and we talk about how great we are, but you can hear directly from our medical tourists from Canada and the US what they think about Health City, to the saving of lives. We have some videos that would show you that young people who, if Health City wasn't here today, would not be with us. And think about how invaluable that is, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
only from the person being here, but you have young fathers. Think about the economic benefit to the family and the whole dynamic if you lose the breadwinner from a family and how that can change the trajectory of a family as well. So we have, some of those stories that we would want to share when you have it uploaded, as well as when you look at the fact that previously we would have been spending millions of dollars on air ambulances leaving Cayman Island shores, and today, and prior to the pandemic, we're getting back there as well. Persons were marveling at the fact that, yeah, there are a lot of air ambulances here now, but it's based on other countries sending their critically ill patients and emergency patients to us at Health City right here in the Cayman Islands. So I know that was a lot in regards to the opening of what we're saying, but just wanted to get the information out there and speak to the fact that Health City is here. And we hear from our patients, we hear from all corners how happy people are that Health City is here. And when we go to other countries, they look at the miracle that is the Cayman Islands and the fact that Health City is here, and they consistently ask, when are you going to come to this country? When are you going to come to that country? However, no matter what we're doing in other countries, it's really to help with the medical infrastructure at a primary care, secondary care the most. And then those major types of procedures would still obviously come here to the Cayman Islands and to Health City as well. So Sandy, I don't know if you have
I've
the
got
videos
all the videos ready.
but
Absolutely.
I think the first one that would really work well is if you have the video of our US and Canadian patients just speaking about their experiences at Health City, because we can talk about all the great things we're doing. When you hear it from persons in countries that prior to Health City we would go there, US and or Canada, and you hear Canadians and US citizens talking about why they come to Health City, I think it's impactful and meaningful.
Absolutely.
Well, we searched outside of the United States for healthcare primarily because we could not afford to have the testing done that we had done.
Total care, just like being like a baby. We've been taken from the airport to here to Health City. We were very blessed. Thank you.
The efficiency of the whole operation, I was very impressed.
I've just fallen in love with all of the people here. Every one of them. They treat you so much like a person and a friend. And that made a lot of difference to me.
They are very warm, very engaging, very embracing. And that goes a long way into you having a successful recovery.
The level of expertise here is beyond anything I've ever experienced, even in the United States.
They go out of their way to try to make you comfortable with all that they can, and to meet whatever need that you have, they're there to do it.
I would have this team of people take care of me any day.
It is an incredibly high level of care for a very serious operation for not that much money.
The compassion and caring and the love of what these people do here. Everybody, the doctors, the nurses, the chefs, everybody, they just love their jobs, and it really shows.
Dr. Benoit, he's very talented, very gifted, and his gift to us was adding another 30 years to my husband's life. And, he gave him a second chance at life, and I was very grateful for that.
You won't have to worry about anything. They know what they're doing.
I'd never been to the Cayman Islands before. They're beautiful. I wouldn't hesitate to come back again and have more surgery. I would highly, highly recommend it.
I would totally recommend this hospital to everyone I know. May the 9th, I made the decision to be here. Today's the 23rd, and I've been out of surgery for 13 days. That fast. So I can't even imagine it getting any faster.
I'm just over the top. This place you got me sold on this place. It's over the top.
So it's getting the best quality care for the best cost, and just the care all the way around has been just amazing.
All right, Shamari. So those are some of your overseas visitors really just sharing their personal experiences and singing the praises of Health City, that they found, the facility, top notch. The staff were and exceeded their expectations. That one lady who said that they've given her the best gift possible in terms of additional years with her husband was so incredibly touching, because we know that proper health care can save your life for sure, and add many many years to it as well.
No, definitely. And I know Dr. Benoit actually has to leave at 8 a.m.
Mhm.
because a busy surgeon as he is, he has a few operations that he has to take care of. But I
Mhm.
just want Dr. Benoit to jump in and just speak about the fact that, Health City, it's been 8 years. We've touched so many lives. And, not only is it about the quality of care across the board, but it's about the specialities and the highest level of care. So we've had a lot of firsts that we've done, not only in the Cayman Islands, but even in the Caribbean. Um, I call it the heart outside the chest, but obviously there are the medical names for it. With the child that Dr. Benoit, it would have been the first in the Caribbean that he was able to actually put the heart back inside the chest. And with a plastic surgeon, we were able to close the chest. And that child to this day, Dr. Benoit gets messages and the such. And this would have been what, 4 or 5 years ago, Dr. Benoit? He gets messages from the mother, videos, the little boy's living a normal life. If Health City wasn't here, that little boy who was coming from Guatemala, if I recall, wouldn't have had a chance just based on the fact that the price in the US wouldn't have been in reach of the family. But this is part of Dr. Shetty's vision,
Mhm.
making it affordable to the point where, you would may have to sell a car if you don't have the personal finances, or you can have some fish fries where you are and raise money and be able to actually afford these types of surgeries that otherwise
Mhm.
would be available.
Mhm. Absolutely. Dr. Benoit, what does it mean to you when you have, parents and family members reaching out to share photos afterwards to see how well, whether it's a child or a middle-aged person that would have been, left a widow behind and children behind, that you see that they're doing so incredibly well?
Hi, and good morning, Sandra. That feeling is you can never express in words. It is all and see that in that video that lady was mentioning about her husband's life. He had a
Mhm.
heart attack while he was on the island here, and he collapsed in one of the hotels he was residing, and he had CPR. Even while on the ambulance, he had a couple of times cardiac arrest, again CPR, and
Mhm.
uh, hospital from there transferred here, and we had to do an emergency surgery, and we had 5 bypasses on him. Now he's
Wow.
in almost 5 years now. He's leading a normal life now. So
Mhm.
what I see when about the value of health city, I can I will summarize in maybe in a sentence. Like it is the value is the number of maybe hundreds of lives we saved over the years,
Mhm.
and the direction that young Caymanian school kids actually how they dream about their future, how we change that dreams. That's what I these are the two things. I mean, I would love to say. I'm sure the Shamaji says in the other economic impact. But being a clinician,
Mm.
this is what I love to see actually. The lived and the hundreds of kids. I mean, it's nearly 30,000 kids coming so far came to the hospital through different products that we offer, and we can see. I mean, Shamari definitely will tell you about how we change the way these school-going kids are dreams changing their path,
Mhm.
their how they are changing, how health city is giving them a direction to think, and we are seeing that the now it's 8 years, and when these students came in the early years, now they have gone to their path breaking, or I think their the future career changing path, and coming back to us at different stages in their future, what we made them to change. Some of them are coming as citizenship now, the pre-meds and all those things. I'm sure Shamari is the best person to explain all those things. But this is what I see, actually, the value of Health City. The future of any country's future is the young, the students, or if we can build their future or help building their future, that is the biggest the value that I'm seeing. And plus, obviously, the hundreds of lives that we saved.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And this is an opportunity, folks, for you to definitely get your questions answered. No question, I'm sure, will be too difficult for Shamari to tackle. The number is 936-2626. Again, that's 936-BOBO for those of you who might not be familiar with the program. So we do want to address this one that KK has submitted. And we have talked about this in, I think just last week, and we definitely want to address this again for a point of clarity. So KK says, I wish that Health City would accept people that need attention quickly. For example, Kishween situation. And Dr. Benoit and yourself were just talking about this gentleman who was having a cardiac arrest, had multiple instances of it in the ambulance ride to Health City. So can we address this issue, Shamari, as comprehensively as possible in terms of why there appears to be this misconception in the community that Health City is unable to take patients like Kashween and what the hiccup really is?
Right. So just to mention that the government ambulance obviously responds to 911 calls and as such, and there's a protocol that's in place, and the ambulance and the EMTs and such are following that protocol. We have had discussions over many years with the government provider as well as HSA and ministry officials, especially when we first started to talk about the cardiac cases, that if there is a heart attack, it doesn't make sense to pass us, to go all the way to town to then turn around and have to come back. So there was some leeway that was given to the EMTs if they're able to identify exactly what the case was, to come to Health City first if they're on this side of the road, or make the decision, even if they're in other places, if there's a cardiac arrest, whether or not they should just come directly to Health City versus stopping at HSA first. Now, outside of those areas, Health City is actually able to accept all levels, for the most part, of emergencies. And we're currently in conversations with the officials within the government as well as at HSA to see how we can work out these protocols to make sure that we don't have unfortunate situations in the future that, you can never say definitively whether or not somebody would be saved. But when you look at probability and as such, depending on the case, to have some clear, defined protocols when to send somebody to Health City versus taking the trek 20 to 30 minutes down the road to go to HSA. So we're definitely working on it. And I'm sure that jointly we'll be able to make a statement about it in the next month or so.
Okay. So KK, again, it's not a question of whether or not they're willing to accept. They are. It's a question of the correct protocols and government procedures being in place that will allow it to actually happen. So Health City doesn't dictate how 911 calls are handled or how government ambulances are dispatched. That is a matter for government authorities and government officials. So once that's sorted out, hopefully we can see the emergency
And
care.
Sandra, just to state that I'm confident that we'll be able to work it out. HSA has always been a great partner, as well as the government. And as I've mentioned on other programs, I don't know if I've mentioned it on yours as yet. When I was director of tourism, obviously we would visit other islands, but they would put you in the best hotels for conferences, meetings, and the such. But being involved in healthcare and needing to go to visit hospitals and clinics and the such, you get a different appreciation of different islands. And I must state that our government hospital, we're very lucky to be able to have a government hospital like that here within the Cayman Islands that's able to take care of certain levels of patients. And then now with the advent of Health City being here, also able to work with Health City to make sure that our people get the best care possible.
Yes, and I do want to dig a little bit deeper into what you have available for those emergency situations. But Dr. Benoit, we know that you have to leave us and go into surgery. So good luck with all of the scheduled surgeries this morning, and thank you so much for joining us again.
Dr. Benoit, you're leaving now, or you can stay for 5 more minutes?
Maybe I'll get a call actually. Till then, I would love to be here.
So
Okay.
Sandy, just before Dr. Benoit leaves, there is a video about the pole that went through a young man's chest. I would love if you can play that video, because Dr. Benoit would have details about how we would have saved that life. And I think that's
the trauma team video. So I think I've got that one queued up. Yes.
Perfect.
Nicholas Connor is lucky to be alive after a car accident in January.
Because I ran off the road and the ambulance came to rescue me because I was stuck in the car with a pole through my chest coming through my back.
Despite many years of collective experience, this was the first time the surgical team at Health City Cayman Islands have seen a complicated case like Mr. Connor's.
When I saw, he was lying on one side with the thick iron pipe, very big iron pipe, from chest from here and gone through and through the chest and coming out of from his back.
The first obstacle the doctors faced was getting Mr. Connor through the CT scan so that they could find out the extent of his injuries. But because of the pipe in his chest, they had to get assistance from the Cayman Islands Fire Service.
We couldn't fit him directly into the CT scan. The firefighters then took the measurement of the gantry. They went again and cut the rods so that he could be able to fit into the CT gantry. And again, once we took him, so we couldn't make the patient lie down flat because the rod was just right inside his chest. So we had to position in a lateral way and get the CT scan done. Definitely the technology will help in all these cases. We have the best of the investigations here, the 28 slice CT being one of them, which should help to get a very good reconstruction and a 3D module so that it will be easy for the surgeons to operate on.
And then we brought them into the ICU, and the good thing is the surgery went on very well. There was not much blood loss. We could manage without any blood transfusion during the surgery. And also he had at least 6 or 7 ribs fractured on the right side, which were fixed with wires. That is very good, because normally they can have chest infection after a surgery like this on the chest wall.
Due to the extent of Mr. Connor's injuries, Health City's orthopedics team also had to step in to provide their expertise, since Mr. Connor also suffered injuries to his right elbow.
There was extensive stretching of the ulnar nerve, one of the main nerves of the hand, which deals with the fine motor function of the hand. The wound was contaminated with grass and hair and mud, so we could not do the final surgery, the definitive surgery, when he arrived. So we took him for the surgery and debrided all the dirt from the wound. We fixed the fracture temporarily with a wire, and we stabilized the ligaments, and we reduced the stress on the ulnar nerve by transposing it anteriorly or to the front of the flesh.
And after hours of surgery, Health City's multidisciplinary team approach to saving Mr. Connor's life was successful.
So he was still fully conscious and he was speaking to us, and probably 2 days stay in ICU. After that we discharged him from the ICU. He went back to the ward, and a couple of days later he got discharged, went home walking. He's fine, he's good, and we are very happy that he made a very remarkable progress after such a major trauma to his chest.
I was really happy and glad that we have a very good team to treat this kind of complex cases, because these are the cases nobody will have experience. I'm seeing first time like this.
This was Mr. Connor's first time at Health City Cayman Islands, and he says he will remain grateful to the team at Health City for saving his life.
And to encourage you and to show you that how lucky you are and how good God is to you, that why you're still alive, and you know, they're very nice people. I love them.
Wow, that's quite amazing. Wow. That's, I mean, I would have been, I don't know, as a surgeon, I guess you see it all. But yeah, when you see someone walking with a pipe in their chest, you probably have that moment when you go, huh, this is different. Not something you see every day, Dr. Benoit.
Yeah, yeah, it was different. I'm the first time I have seen like this, because this big pole that is from the chest from here and going and jutting both sides significant length. That's why we could not take him to the CT scan, because it's jutting out both sides. And this is a perfect example of the coordination between all possible departments, from government hospital. When they saw it, they realized they could not manage this. They immediately, it's around 12:30 in the midnight, they called me. And by the time I reached here, they did not spend any time, wasted any time there. Within 10 minutes of seeing that patient in their emergency, they transferred this patient here. When we saw here, and the team was ready, like our orthopedic surgeon, our anesthesiologist, intensivist, radiologist, all were here by the time. Then we realized we cannot do a CT scan. Immediately we called the fire department. Within 15 minutes, in the middle of the night, the fire department came there with the truck, because this big iron pipe, we cannot have any instrument to cut it. So they brought that their big truck with that electrical, I don't know what you call, scissors or what, cutter, whatever we can
Yeah,
call
that's
that.
the jaws of life. Maybe I've never seen it, but I always hear about them
Yeah,
cutting
I mean,
cars
this
and
sounds
stuff.
like an advanced version of that, yeah.
How huge it was. And take the patient, because that truck will not come inside the emergency room. So we have to take the patient towards that truck, and they cut on both sides, reduce the size or the length of the rod. And then you have to take him to the CT scan from there. And it was such a complex that we cannot pull it out, because it is gone to blood vessel. If you pull it out, he will bleed to death before we open the chest. So on a sideways, we had
Looks like we've had a little connection issue there.
all
There we go.
around that to control the bleeding, and that the whole the lung was shattered. So all those things to repair. It was really a challenging case, but within a week he went home. So glad. I used to see once in a while now, some in the grocery shop. Recently I met him. He was so happy to talk to his experience. So again, these are the cases I would say that gives us that satisfaction, and plus I would say the value of Health City, because he would not have reached any other major centers in the United States.
And this demonstrates, obviously, the significance of time sometimes being
Correct.
the most critical factor in whether or not you can save a patient. So, as you said, you'd never seen anything quite like this. It was a very complex case. It required, everybody from the fire service trying to assisting with cutting down the pipe, to, your physicians, to the HSA getting him to you quickly. It was a team effort by all of the different, agencies involved to make this happen. So, Shamari, let's talk a little bit about your A&E and your trauma response, and who you've got there available at Health City, because I understand that it's a team that is always there, right?
Definitely. I think Dr. Benoit would be best placed to discuss the various levels of persons that we have within the A&E, since we still have him.
Yeah, we have the postgraduate doctors who have placed in emergency medicine. So they'll that emergency department round the clock 24/7, and all associated people, the nurses who are who have worked in the very busy trauma centers back in India, and the technicians who have worked in. We have 24/7 radiology technicians and radiologists, so that CT scans or X-rays, anything, or MRI, anything to be done on an emergency basis. And plus we have within the hospital anesthesiologist 24/7, medical intensive care doctors 24/7, duty doctors 24/7. So, and plus any other specialist, because this especially polytrauma we call, that's the trauma or accidents that injures multiple organs in the body, whether it is from brain or heart or lungs or liver or intestine, bones. So we have specialists to manage all these different organs in the body. This is very important, actually, especially in an accident. So we don't know what all organs are injured and which takes priority over the other, depends on the life-saving situation or limb-saving situation. So we do have all these specialists here, and everybody joins together and take the call without losing time. Again, these emergencies again comes that time factor. At the earliest, you have to intervene and get that the precious life back in. I have many, so many incidents. I can tell you how that time is important, and that's why we could save lives. Accident recently, outside there is no injury at all, absolutely not even a abrasion or scar on the body, but patient was kind of blood pressure is not improving even after all the resuscitation. Then we did an echocardiogram, so there was blood around the heart, compressing the heart significantly. Heart cannot squeeze blood or pump very well. Immediately took into the operating room, just open and released that blood. There was a hole in the one chamber of the heart, because with that the injury, the chest wall compressed the heart against the vertebra on the back. So where that one chamber was ruptured, and the heart has, that there is a sac heart is situated. So within that sac, the blood was collecting and it was squeezing the heart. So here this is the importance, the time matters. He will not get maybe more than half an hour to survive unless we release that the pressure within the sac and close that chamber that was bleeding. So with the all different specialties, the neurologists, neurosurgeons, all matters. We don't know, especially in polytrauma cases, who will which organ is to be treated at the earliest, which is life saving or which is limb saving. So we do have all those manpower specialists, plus that equipments. Again, that is very, very important. This advanced technology. I was talking to somebody yesterday. Something that is called ECPR. That is a new concept, because somebody comes in the emergency and they are going on the downhill. We may not have enough time to evaluate what is going wrong, but by the time there is no time, because he's going to die. You are on CPR. So new to ECPR is it's a machine called ECMO. I'm sure you must have heard about this. It's a advanced form of heart-lung machine. It will support both heart and lung. So why we are dying is either because of lack of oxygen or lack of blood. So we can support both the heart and lung. Then we can find out what is going wrong. At least patients will not die. So we saved a few people on the island. Because of that, we have that ECPR, something very new to this medical field. Somebody collapse in the hospital, or we have seen somebody's coming to the hospital ambulance while they are on CPR. So when we hear that, okay, somebody's coming on CPR, a team is ready with this machine, straight take them to the operating room, put them on this machine, then evaluate, because they are not dying. So these kinds of advanced technology and the expertise also is very important. It's not only, as you know, this not only the buildings makes big hospitals, not only the equipments big hospitals, the expertise, the manpower who has experience with these kinds of advanced machines. That's the most important. So when all those things comes together, we make a good hospital where we can save these precious lives.
Absolutely. And I'm not the only one shocked by this. Melita says, wow, amazing. May God continue to guide your hands and bless Health City and their staff. Debbie's joining us. Miss Cora is also here. Miss Sue says, morning, Sandy. Great doctors. Dr. Naranja, brilliant. Marshall says, wow, that was a major surgery. Thank God for the doctors at Health City for their expertise, knowledge, and equipment. And Melita says, thanks to all who were involved. Silka is joining us from Miami, Florida this morning. She says that reminded me of someone who was shot through the neck with a spear gun many years ago. She was so tough. She held on to that spear while being driven to the hospital and survived. Oh my gosh. Really, really shocking. Good morning to Miss
And
Dorothy joining us as well.
Sandy,
Mhm.
and Sandy, just say even, and I mean that's a program for another day. We even had persons with gunshot wounds coming from other islands here to Health City that we would have saved when they thought that there was no way the person was going to survive. But it was actually somebody in the legal fraternity that unfortunately in another island was shot, high profile case, and came here, and we would have saved the life, helped the person to recover, and then the person went back to the UK and still sings Health City's praises. So I mean, these are just a touch on the many stories, but obviously people wouldn't know. So we thought we'd definitely today touch on the true value of Health City outside of the economic impact, outside of the savings that will be there. But how do you quantify lives saved that otherwise probably wouldn't have made it? And when it comes to a medical tourism perspective, there's also a video that I would love if you'd play next of somebody from another health network in the U.S. cruise ship passenger who we helped him and saved a life, and he was speaking about our facility in comparison to his and how how happy he was that he actually ended up at Health City.
All right. Well, Gemma has joined the conversation. And Gemma says, Health City is amazing. I'm 2 weeks post surgery from Dr. Manju. I had 5-star treatment. The nurses were kind and loving, and I'm having a great recovery. Since we're going to be talking about the tourism element, we do have Clinton with a question going into this, and we can certainly answer it after we watch the video. But Clinton wants to get a straight answer as to the percentage of medical tourism patients versus local patients. So we're going to be queuing up. Let me just make sure I've got the right one here, Shamari. Is this the one with the heart attack?
What does it say? What is the title?
This is the I think this is the guy who came in with the heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that we're gonna do. Okay.
Treatment from the time I got into the emergency room, the nurses took care of me 100%. It took the emergency room maybe 10-20 minutes max to do some tests. After that, they went straight into the cath lab. I work for a health system as well, Baptist Health, and when I came here, I wasn't sure what type of standards I would have, but the standards here were phenomenal. It's very comparable to what we have at Baptist, but here, it's really, really good. The care here, man, I can't say enough thank you to the doctors and the whole team here that took care of me and my family, because we had no place to stay. They helped us out with a hotel and all of that. Made me really feel comfortable trying to recover. I am always taking care of the patient's needs. I'm a biomed, so I always look at the other side, but now sitting as a patient, they really did well here. Just to put it in plain terms, they saved my life.
All right, so folks, there we have again someone who's in the medical profession, who is obviously familiar with the quality of care and standards that are available, and he's sharing his own personal experience, comparing you guys to what's considered a really excellent facility in the United States, because he has experience firsthand with that facility, and now he has experience firsthand with Health City.
Definitely, and just wanted to once again, you would understand that from medical tourism perspective, we get patients from throughout the Caribbean, Central America. We get air ambulances from certain countries in the Caribbean. We have agreements with quasi government insurance companies to send us their patients. We get patients from Canada, as you would have seen in the video previously, as well as from the US. Elective, and then also by having agreements with the cruise lines, even if they're having an emergency in our surrounding waters and going somewhere else, they will divert to bring their emergency patients to us, understanding the quality that they're going to get at Health City to save a life, whether it's a stroke or a cardiac component. I saw a comment there about medical tourists, and from a straight answer, we've always given answers. I don't know why it would be put that way, but when you look at some of the benchmark in regards to countries that have been doing medical tourism on this side of the world. Anybody can research it. Costa Rica always pops up as the country. And there's history behind why Costa Rica would be in that market, that it would take a long time to discuss it. However, they've really been doing what we would see as as modern medical tourism from 70s, but probably late 80s, 90s forward. So they've had, 30 or 40 years at it. And there are two medical facilities, won't call their names, that are great medical facilities that when you actually, that are known for medical tourism, and they get between 10 to 20% of their patient base would be medical tourists, and they're seen as one of the most successful medical tourism hospitals. And prior to the pandemic, because obviously the pandemic reset where persons weren't easily able to travel, everybody understands that. Um, we were having anywhere between 40 to 60% of our surgical cases on a monthly basis would have been medical tourists. Now, when you look at outpatients, Sandy, obviously in the other countries, they've done all their outpatient visits, they've done the diagnostics to realize they need to have surgery to send us the medical records. So we're getting them when they're being primed, ready for surgery. Locally, we need to do a lot of the investigations to know that you need surgery. So when you look at apples to apples, the surgical cases pre-pandemic, it would have been, just depending on month, it would have been anywhere between 40 and 60% that would have been medical tourists coming in for surgeries. And obviously now that all of the barriers have been lifted, especially the vaccination, which was a hurdle, because Sandy, if you were, well, you would have been studying it as well, you would know that our Caribbean neighbors, Central American neighbors, weren't as good as us when it came to getting vaccinated. So their numbers were much less. So there were a lot of patients that weren't vaccinated that couldn't come to us. So we're actually seeing a wave of demand right now based on the fact that we're fully open, and it's great that we're once again able to help many of our brothers and sisters in other countries that otherwise either couldn't get access or couldn't afford the type of care that they would need.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Miss Cora is sharing a personal experience. She said, I had an emergency one morning and went up there because I knew that I would have been taken care of quickly. In an hour, I was COVID tested, had a chest x-ray, did a blood test, and was nebulized. In the end, all was well, and I left the hospital 3 hours later. So Donna Dilbert is also sharing. She says, good morning, everyone. We're blessed to have Health City in the Cayman Islands. Thanks for all that you do. So Dr. Benoit was talking about, sort of the trifecta of having a world-class medical facility, world-class and, sort of cutting edge technology, along with the actual medical expertise, the employees, the nursing support staff, and everybody else, the physicians that go with that. Yesterday, we heard a bit of a comment, which I thought was super interesting about, well, we didn't need anybody else that had a cath lab because we've got one. We've got x-ray machines. We've got ultrasound machines. Can we talk a little bit about the technology, the medical technology, Shamari, and how important it is to keep abreast of sort of the latest technological advances? I know before you guys took a break, we had, Dr. Stone on talking about this new equipment. This robotic equipment that is amazing. I can't even imagine how much that costs. But these are the types of things that allow surgeons to do their jobs better, more efficiently, more effectively, and less trauma potentially to patients as well. So when you hear people say we don't need new equipment, it does the same job as equipment that we've had before, or it's not a better x-ray, or what's your response to that type of a comment?
No, I'm not going to speak to the comment directly, but just to mention, everybody knows that as time evolves, technology increases, and our scientists and the research teams across the world globally are always looking to improve everything in every aspect of life in order to make it easier, in order to make it more efficient. And it's no different in the medical sphere. As time goes on, Dr. Benoit can tell you how he would have had to have dealt with a cardiac emergency 10, 15, 20 years ago versus what we're able to do now, and the imaging and everything else that just makes it better. Just to give you an example, we have the type of imaging that if you get an emergency case from a cruise line and it's somebody who's a visitor, the medical records aren't on with the cruise ship physician, so you won't know exactly what's going on. But we have imaging that we can actually see 360 the entire heart. You can tell if there's certain procedures that would have been done previously, and that now gives Dr. Benoit all the information he needs in order to go in and fix the issue without creating another issue if we didn't have that level of imagery to be able to see where to go. I'll hand it over to Dr. Benoit because he can also speak to obviously the Da Vinci machine. And when you saw Dr. Stone speaking about the fact that your hands only have certain dexterity, but with the machine you get 360 dexterity, and you can do things and go places that your regular hands can't go in order to give you the best quality of outcomes possible with minimal not only injury but minimal recoup time, based on the fact that you're able to hit those places that your hands typically couldn't go without damaging certain tissues. Dr. Benoit?
Yeah, I can talk maybe at least an hour about this technology. Because like any other field, this even in the healthcare also, it's a fast actually that's developing new technology, mainly to make the life of the patients much easy, less pain, less hospital stay, and less blood loss, all those things together. Example is this robotic surgery. I mean, when surgical, the expertise, whatever is there, the surgeons, when it comes to the surgeries of the pelvis, like the gynecological surgeries or urological surgeries, the bone is it's an obstruction for you to move very well, the hip bone. So this robotic arms, that makes it very precise surgery, so that we can cut very easily. I mean, it's like it's not, when you watch the robotic surgery. I mean, I have seen Dr. Stone is operating here. It's like it's not operating. You will watch like you are watching some artist is drawing a good, nice painting, because he is sitting on a console without any tension and moving these both forearms of the robot. And finally, when you see there is a 3 or 4 small, 5 millimeter holes in the skin of the abdomen, and within a couple of hours, whatever is either the uterus is out or the other the surgeries what are supposed to be done, and the same evening the patients are going out of the hospital. I mean, blood transfusion, no pain or very minimal pain, and no hospital stay. So the technology can tell you, not only in this one, in the medical gastroenterology. I mean, these are something that I myself surprised for the obesity, that all these gastric bypass surgeries and all those things were there to reduce the obesity. Now, Dr. Sunil is a very accomplished medical gastroenterologist. Without surgery, he is doing this through endoscopically, taking the stitch inside the stomach and reducing the volume of the stomach. And it's a great thing. That's just maybe a couple of years that is introduced to the medical field. And I can talk about this neurology, where the software is now coming, because as you know, when it comes to stroke, it's time is very precious, 3 hours, 4 golden time. Now, there are a section of these stroke patients, even outside these 4 hours or 6 hours, till you save the brain. But normally with this CT scan or MRI, that information we won't get. So there is an advanced software system we recently brought to Health City. So within 10 minutes of this scanning, they will tell, no, you can still do the procedure and you can save this much area of the brain. So when you use that technology, even you are outside the golden hours, you can still save the brain and reduce the chance of this paralysis or the crippling of entire life. So every specialty, whether it's cardio, orthopedics, again, the joint replacement, we have this computer navigation system. So that will tell us how to appropriately measure the joints, the the device or this artificial joint, how to fix it properly. So it is not our man eyes or the experience. It's the robot is telling you that okay, this is the measurement you have to take, and giving that correct measurements and alignment and everything, that makes that knee joint replacement or hip joint replacement last more than the usual. So it is the practice of the orthopedic surgeon with that navigation system that makes the outcome of the surgery much better than the other way. So every specialties what we have, we are bringing the newest technology at the earliest possible, and giving that to the public of our country here. So,
All right. Well, thank you.
so and
Yeah, no,
if you
I'm
will leave now, sorry,
I'm
taking a
definitely
call from
leaving.
the operating room. The patient is ready. Sorry for
Okay.
that.
Yes, not a problem. We completely understand. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so Dr. Benoit is going to go into surgery. We did have a caller. They were hanging on, so I'm just trying to see if I can give them a ring back. In the meantime, Shannon says, I have a rare lung disease and have to travel to North Carolina for checkups. Health City has the only pulmonologist, Dr. Archita,
Correct.
Archita, yes, who saved me a few times last year when my lung collapsed. Health City is a blessing to me while I'm home. I have a hospital that can give me a level of care until I can go overseas. So, Shannon talking about from her perspective as a patient, with a rare lung disease, this is something that has been life saving for her, having the island's only pulmonologist on island. And sometimes, Shamari, we all know that some of the other facilities might have what they call visiting specialists that might come once a month or once a quarter, but there's certain things that there are times that you can't wait to see a specialist. You've got to get in there immediately to be able to have the best possible outcome.
Definitely, and for the majority of our physicians, they are located here year round, so you can gain access to them not only for follow-ups but for the aftercare as well. Because we also know that the aftercare, and whether it's physiotherapy or otherwise, really really helps when it comes to ensuring that you have the best outcomes possible. So, like even when Dr. Benoit was speaking about the robotic navigation for orthopedics, you have a great skilled physician that the human eye can get you to 90%. And then the robotic navigation will get you to that 98, 99% that you otherwise wouldn't be able to achieve. But once again, science and technology takes you there. And Health City, the reason why I think a part of our secret sauce is that we're physician led and physician run. And it's by a physician such as Dr. Benoit, right? Who's a cardiac surgeon, who is a part of our program whereby we save children who otherwise wouldn't have been able to gain access, working with charitable organizations, doing those surgeries that cost 600 children we would have saved. And obviously the pandemic played with this, so that would have been over the first, call it 6 years that we were here. And there are other great organizations throughout the Caribbean that were celebrating 100 cases over 10 years. So the fact that we would have done 600 in 6 years just gives you a level of the scale that we've been able to help in the neighboring countries as well. And then obviously any child that has those ailments in Cayman, we would help too. But we're fortunate that we don't have a high proportion of those types of cases here. But those that do, we are here to help them as well from pediatric cardiology perspective.
All right, wonderful. We do have here a bit of information, which I think our listeners will find extremely helpful. Talking about your service quality key performance indicators. So before we bring this up on screen, can you tell us a little bit, Shamari, about what this is, first of all?
Right. So, at times, if you need to understand the quality of an actual facility, there are certain key performance indicators that persons would look at, right? Whether it's readmission to ICU, number of readmissions within 30 days. And this is really how other medical professionals or other people can look to see the quality of your hospital. And the one thing Health City has always been is transparent. And this is why we would have had, USA Today, Forbes, PBS, Sandy, you would know that news outlets like that aren't going to run stories if they haven't verified that the information is correct. And we are proud to always publish um, a few of our service quality key performance indicators. And if anybody wants to see the full array, which is in the hundreds, they can as well. We're open book, and we're actually one of the few in the Caribbean that publish our quality of outcomes, and the only in the Cayman Islands that actually publish our quality of outcomes. So, for instance, if you look at number of readmissions within 30 days, the benchmark is 14%. Health City is at 2.12%. And I'll give you an example. John Goodman from Forbes was writing about why Health City and Narayana, are so good. And he's like, it's many, many, many different things. But, he made the comment that, in the US, due to the fact that it has insurance penetration that's so wide, if you go to a hospital and you don't get better within 30 days and you have to go to the ICU and your stay is extended, the hospital still gets the revenue coming in from the insurance company, right? If the infection rates are high, guess what? They still get paid from the insurance company. But he was saying in India, when there is a lot of self-pay or paying out of pocket, if somebody shows up with $10,000, that's it. So you have to be have to have your quality at a level that within 98% you're making sure that the majority of your patients are actually being healed and getting better within the time period set. And in doing that, you actually increase the quality and you're reducing the cost, because there actually isn't the additional cost that goes with staying longer in the ICU or with the infections. And when we look at other facilities, example, when it comes to number of readmissions within 30 days in the US, even facilities that would be, I don't want to say in competition, but people would look at from a brand perspective and say that's like quality. A lot of their percentages for readmissions will be at 10%, 14%, 8%, 6%. And we're at 2.12%. So that just means after you have your operation, 98% of the time you go home, you recover, and you're healed. And only 2% of the time will you have to come in to get another procedure or something else in that regard. Just to give an example of what these service quality key indicators actually mean.
Right. Okay. And what are some other, we see everything here from, venticular associated pneumonia being 2.3% over 1,000 days, surgical infection, site infection, 1%, whereas the benchmark is 2 to 4%. So talk about some of the other major ones that we're looking at here on the screen.
Right. So, like, for instance, unplanned return rate to operation theater, the benchmark is 4.6. So this would have been directly after an operation if you have to go in within a few hours or within a day. And the benchmark is 4.6%. We're at 1.7%. So, doing better than more than half of what the benchmark actually is. When you look at blood transfusion reaction, the benchmark is 2%. We're at 0%. And this has to do obviously with, all of the great medical staff across the board, doing everything possible to ensure with all of our protocols that we don't have these types of incidents. When you look at rate of readmission after total joint replacement, the benchmark is 4%. We are at 0%, and that 0% is probably like 0.1% or such, but we would say 0%. Rate of modification of an anesthesia plan is at 0%, and the list goes on. As I was mentioning, Sandy, what we are going to do is have a program whereby we'll bring our medical director, who is Dr. Dhruva, and he will have a full program with us explaining all of the different areas and how this actually impacts the quality of outcomes and leads to the best outcomes possible. And this sheet is part of the reason why Harvard Business Review writes about us. We're even a part of their a case study that talks about innovation and quality, that every year they use Health City Cayman Islands as a case study to say globally, look at the miracle Health City Cayman Islands is in the Cayman Islands. Here are the reasons why. and they actually have an entire course about innovation, and Health City is actually the case study that the students at the back end need to actually include um, in that program to be able to get those credits from a Harvard Business Review. And I think it's actually their master's program, if not their PhD program. I'll have to go back and look to see. So that just gives you, and everybody who knows Harvard, that's the top of the tops. And once again, Harvard isn't going to be having a case study about an entity that they haven't heavily researched and understood exactly what it's about and why they can definitely use us as a case study to prove the hypotheses that they're trying to prove in that course.
Right, quite a bit to unpack there, Shamari, but thank you very, very much for sharing that. Ms. Jean Ebanks says that she can recommend Health City for cancer treatment. And Ace, good morning to Ace, joining us, I believe, from the Philippines this morning. So good to see you on the live stream. So do we need to talk a little bit about the economic impact? I think it's probably worthwhile of what Health City has brought to the Cayman Islands, because listen, some people are all about the dollars and cents. We've been talking a lot about the care that you offer. And I suppose now from a monetary perspective, we can certainly discuss some of those as well.
Yeah, definitely. So from a strict monetary perspective, in the first 5 years, we would have availed ourselves of $5 million worth of concessions, and the economic impact would have been 79 million in regards to medical tourists and staying in apartments. Obviously, all of the spend and the such that would have been on island, and from a direct investment perspective, and this goes into hard dollars into the ground, as a private healthcare facility, we would have had the largest spend in the history of the Cayman Islands of 250 million in regards to hard core spend in physical infrastructure and the such in the Cayman Islands. And we were touching on new equipment, and from a radiotherapy perspective, prior to what's going to happen in December. So excited that we will be, cutting the ribbon, commissioning our radiotherapy center this December, which will be about 10,000 square feet, where from a radiation perspective, those that need that type of treatment, no longer will you have to go overseas for weeks at a time, which turns out to be months over the year. You'll be able to stay at home with your family, get the treatment right here in the Cayman Islands. And just to mention that is the first component of the facility that's at Camana Bay. That's 10,000. The other 70, and we're still going through the other, call it 80,000 square feet of the rest of the building, which will have 60 inpatient beds, which will also do the higher levels of neonates at that facility, as well as daycare surgeries. We'll have our Da Vinci machine there, which everybody's excited about. We have physicians from all over the Caribbean, even some physicians that are Caymanian that we didn't realize in other countries and jurisdictions, asking about how they can come home and avail themselves of the technology that we have here, as well as working within the ethos that we do at Health City. So those are all of the benefits that we can speak about outside of, obviously, now that school has started back, we'll have a full program where we bring Mr. Charles Bush in, and we'll talk about everything that we're doing across the spectrum from an education standpoint. We've had 28,000 educational opportunities. Now, some students take up more than one. So you would have seen the story of Elman, who went through 7 of our products and then decided to come work at Health City. At first, he thought nurses were only females. He got to see that it wasn't so, and then became very interested, became a nurse at Health City, and is now off doing his studies to get his nursing degree and wants to come back and join Health City. And obviously, we would have open arms. We'll also speak about 2 and 3 other students that now have come through our programs since they were 12 and now are finishing up, either starting university or finishing physiotherapy programs and doing internships at Health City, which is helping them with their medical degree, and then they will come back and work for Health City as well, which was always the goal, to get as many Caymanians interested as possible in the medical field, and then to eventually get them to come back and work for Health City. And if not for Health City, it's going to make the island better as well. So can't wait. I think that program we'll send you will be in 2 weeks' time. And we're going to have a lot of those young people coming on and speaking about their experience at Health City as well.
All right, sounds wonderful. Well, Shamari, thank you so much. Again, Jean says here, Health City Cayman Islands is second to none for cancer treatment. I had treatment at Miami Cancer Institute as well as HCCI, and the care received from Dr. Vinitha, Indira, and the rest of the team was just as good, if not better, than MCI. It was so much better to be able to have treatment and just drive home rather than struggle with hotels, flights, etc., while feeling ill. I cannot thank them enough for the care that I received and continue to receive. So thank you so much, Jean. And I know that we had Jean in the program previously, but we really appreciate that endorsement. So there you have it, folks. Real live endorsements in real time right here on Rundown Tuesdays. We're back in full swing, folks. Today is September the 6th. So welcome back, Shamari. Hope that everyone had a nice break, and we're going to...
Did you miss me? Did you miss me?
Yeah, no, legit. Yeah. No, for real. Every Tuesday I was like, something feels different.
When are you coming back?
So no, I mean, it's good. It's definitely good to have you guys back. And I'm always learning something new. Like I said, if a day goes by and you don't learn something new, you probably need to check yourself.
That's right.
And anytime Health City comes on, I certainly learn something new about their offerings. And, I had an opportunity recently. We're going to unpack this in probably the coming weeks. But I had an opportunity recently to go to Health City firsthand and experience what turned out to be 6 hours worth of testing all day. And it was really that long because we were actually doing some videoing of it and stuff as well. And I want to share a personal experience with you guys this morning because I think it's really, really important. And you guys know I try to be as transparent and honest as possible and just really, really bring it home. So we talked about, some of the tests that I did that day. Obviously, my A1C number is of concern, which is something that wasn't really a surprise to me because it's been kind of creeping up slowly over the years. So that's something that I now need to try to address, as quickly as possible. Diet, exercise, and, whole wellness program. Going to be focusing more on nutrition, of course. And, I was just, the physicians, the technicians, everybody was really, really super easy to talk to. There was a couple of questions in the process that I had, but there were some test results that take time to come in. So some of you may know that in my family, we have a history of, I would consider it a history of breast cancer because I have a primary sister, who's had breast cancer. And I have, my mother has also now been a breast cancer survivor. So for me, that's one of those things that I'm always like, get my mammograms done, trying to be very, very diligent about that. So of course, when I got the phone call back saying, hey, your mammography results are fine, everything looks good, I was like, phew, that was good. I didn't expect to hear anything about the pap smear. And of course, I was told we've got an irregular result on the pap smear. And Dr. Pooja, essentially called and explained the process to me in terms of, okay, this is how it's going to work. We need to schedule you for a coloscopy, I think is what it's called, but basically a biopsy of that area now that you have an irregular pap smear, because we need to make sure that this isn't anything else of concern. She explained, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Once we get to that step, we'll do the requisite testing. We have to wait because that has to be sent off to Miami. We wait to get the test results. And then, these are the possible outcomes. If it comes back and then there's something of concern at that point, we'll talk about what the options are. And it could just be, one of those cases, it's kind of like a false negative. And then in that particular scenario, we just do regular pap smears every single year. And that's the protocol that's to be followed. So of course, when you get a phone call, at 5 o'clock on a Friday, that a pap result came back with as an abnormal result, you're automatically worried. And I was able to quickly schedule the biopsy, got in there, had it done. And just, I want to say it was 2 days ago, I got the follow-up phone call to say that everything is fine. The biopsy results didn't come back with anything to worry about or be concerned about. But this actually meant, folks, that I had to go into Health City and have this procedure done. So I did go, and again, they explained everything to me. She explained exactly what she was going to be doing. At one point, they were using a little like scoping camera so that she could have a proper look around. I was able to see all of that on the camera. And for those as women who've never seen your privates, I can now raise my hand and say I've seen a cervix. I now know what that looks like. So it's a bit of an unusual thing to say, hey, I know what it looks like down there. At least in part. But yeah, it was, she was extremely professional. Her assistant during the procedure was really, really professional. She told me exactly, what to expect step by step. And, as these procedures go, it was as comfortable as it could possibly be. And then, just sent home with some minor instructions. So every experience I think that we have with our primary care physicians, if we need to follow up, test results that are questionable, all of these things, I think, certainly make a huge difference in our experience and whether or not we would recommend a physician, whether or not we would recommend a facility, sort of going forward. Now, we do have someone who has said that she is waiting on some test results, but her test results are one that it's I guess someone who's overseas who actually isn't on island. And she's been told that although the test results are back, she has to wait until that person's back on island. And that kind of has her worried because, of course, anytime you do anything, an MRI, an additional biopsy, you do worry and you want to get the test results as quickly as possible. Is there any reason why she couldn't do like a teleconference call, Shamari, in your mind?
I would need to understand the case.
Okay.
Exactly what it is. If the person would like me to check into it, just send you the information offline. Sandy and I can definitely get back to that person.
Okay.
Or obviously the medical professional get back to that person as soon as possible. Yeah.
And Lily says, thank you to Dr. Pooja for her cancer surgeries. Can't wait for the cancer hospital to be built. Travel every 3 months to the USA is very costly. So again, those are some of the considerations. And a lot of times there is the cost factor. But as Jean rightfully said, there's also the factor of even having to travel. And, travel in this day and age, folks, is not easy. All the security protocols, if you're trying to be safe, you have to mask up. You increase your chances during, for example, COVID, of even catching COVID because you do have to travel in busy airports and so on. So it's definitely a plus to have those facilities available right here in the Cayman Islands. So Shamari, thank you so much. I know we went into a little bit over time, but thank you. Yes, thank you so much for coming on the program. And there is a sort of your outro video. I'll let you go, but there is one about a young man who was stabbed, which I found to be very, very fascinating. That I wanted to.
Maybe we save that for next week.
We can share that for next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's save that for next week.
Yeah, because that one's like kind of shocking too. All right.
That one is, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's top off at the beginning of next week. We'll have that
you guys are gonna.
But Sandy, just to mention that's exactly why people do the executive health check, and thank you for sharing. So you can understand if anything is there, and if so, we can deal with it much quicker than later. And we all understand. And I'll just use an example. When it comes to cancer care, we know the percentages drop significantly the later the stage of cancer. But if you're doing constant checkups and you're able to catch cancer in the earlier stages, then typically, your recovery is at the highest probability it can be. And many people live many decades and such and never have issues again if you catch a lot of these things early. So your example is just one of, obviously there was nothing there, but it just gives you a good reason why, regardless if it's Health City or otherwise, regular checkups are important, especially with technology the way it is.
Yeah. Caller, we do have a caller in the line. Do you have a question for Health City, or were you waiting for open
Hi, good
mic?
morning.
Morning.
To you and your guest.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes. I've reached out to Sandy about this topic before, so I'm sure she probably knows who's calling. But I just wanted to know Shamari's thoughts on organ transplantation. Is it something that Cayman sees happening in the near future? Because someone with a parent that is in need of an organ transplant, I definitely see the physical toll and the mental toll that it takes on a person, and having to fly off to the States or Canada and being on a waiting list. And unfortunately, we do have a lot of tragic fatalities here on the island, and I feel that us having a organ donation program or something like that would definitely benefit the island. So I just wanted to know his thoughts on that and any other information, if there has been any new discussions about it or anything like that.
Definitely, and thank you for the question. Just to mention that there is an organ transplant law. And my understanding is they're at the final stages of the regulations to be able to pass that. Health City actually does have the capabilities with our physicians to do kidney transplants, liver transplants, and cardiac transplants as an example. And we would start with kidney, then go on to liver, and then cardiac once the law has been enabled. But outside of that, there would need to be a registry. And looking at the Caribbean, this is where we would have a pan-Caribbean effort to have a registry for heart transplants, for instance, so that we can have enough of a pool and population of persons that you can harvest the actual organs to be able to have those types of surgeries. And that's a more wide-reaching, just because that has to be an actual discussion that occurs, because we know most people, at least in the Caribbean, or as far as I know, want their loved ones to be buried with their organs. However, there's so many people that can actually benefit from, an organ that is harvested to save another life. There needs to be serious communication and a registry that's set up. But in the first instance, the Cayman Islands needs the regulations, and then we're able to go. Next week, when we see the liver stab, that physician, Dr. Deepak, was actually one of the top liver transplant surgeons out of India who saved a young man's life. So that just gives you an example of the level of physicians that we have within Health City.
Wow. Okay, well, caller, thank you so much for that question. And I did, just an FYI for the call, I've also messaged a political arm who would be responsible for pushing whoever has to write the regulations to get that done. I'm asking them, when might organ transplants be, brought online? So we'll definitely ask the question, and if we get an answer, we shall let you know. All right, Shamari, thank you so much for joining the program today.
Thank you.
Good to be back.
All right, great to be back.
All right, folks, stay tuned for these messages and our 9 o'clock news.
For over 7 years, Health City Cayman Islands has provided life-changing and life-saving medical care for the people of the Cayman Islands at our hospital in East End. During this time, we have become an integral part of the community, and now focused on connectivity and collaboration. Our vision is to make an even greater impact on the quality of healthcare for the people of our islands. In summer 2022, we will open a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art hospital built on 3 acres of land at the southern end of Cayman Bay, bringing much-needed specialized medical services closer to where people live, work, and play. Cayman Bay, located at the heart of 7 Mile Beach, is home to schools, businesses, shops, restaurants, and entertainment. And now, Health City Cayman Bay, a $100 million world-class hospital. Health City Cayman Bay will include an advanced cancer care unit, offering bone marrow transplantation and the latest cancer treatment technology. It will contain a modern neonatal intensive care unit, emergency and critical care, purpose-designed operating rooms for surgical specialties, such as cardiology, neurology, and orthopedics, and robotic operating systems. A master plan for improved health care for the people of the Cayman Islands. Ready to meet the needs of our patients here and now, we have already established a footprint in Cayman Bay with the opening of our clinic. Offering short wait times, extended opening hours, including evenings and weekends, and the ability to see our world-class doctors closer to where our patients live and work. The clinic has bright, comfortable waiting areas and treatment rooms, friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics. Reflecting our operating philosophy of patient-centered care, Convenient access to our specialist doctors allows our patients to focus on getting better rather than getting to appointments. With our unwavering commitment to our community and the thousands of patients who trust us to care for them, we look forward to building healthier communities in a place where life unfolds, blossoms, and thrives. Welcome to Health City, Camana Bay.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Home Gas, Cayman's oldest operating and first energy provider in the country, is under new ownership. As of September 1st, Foster's Group Holdings took ownership of the propane provider from the company's original owners, Bodden Holdings. Starting with only 2 cylinders of gas and 4 propane stoves, Captain Theo Bodden began the journey to open Home Gas in 1957 as a way to ensure his customers, then heavily reliant on kerosene, would have an affordable, reliable source of energy. Now, 65 years later, Home Gas operates a large capacity propane facility and provides sustainable energy solutions to all 3 islands. Cayman Airways has responded after a controversial move the airline made to promote soon-to-retire pilot Cal Thompson to captain. According to a press release, 4 senior Caymanian Boeing 737-8 first officers are in the pipeline for upgrade to captain on the jet fleet within the next 18 months, having each already been assessed for their captaincy and command potential. The Caymanian pilots who soon may be flying left seat are First Officers Troy McCoy, Tarek Goring, Brian Seals, and Jeffrey Connolly. The statement added to address the airline's more immediate and temporary need for at least 1 additional captain to cover the anticipated increases in flying the B737-8 fleet this winter, coupled with the challenges presented by scarce simulator availability for required training through the winter of 2022-2023 for the 4 other candidates. President and CEO Fabian Worms said that previously qualified Caymanian pilot Kel Thompson was recently reinstated to captain from his first officer position for the remainder of his career. He retires from flying at age 65 late February 2023. Public service pensioners have received a one-off sum of $450 on Thursday, which was added to their pension payment for August. The payment was funded by the Cabinet to assist public service pensioners with increased living expenses linked to high fuel cost. The one-off payment matches the $150 per month honorarium that was paid to civil servants during June, July, and August. Premier Honorable Wayne Panton said the government was pleased to be able to support this payment to public service pensioners. The National Heroes Day 2023 nomination period has opened and will be open until midnight October 16th. The theme for National Heroes Day is volunteerism and charitable services. The nominations process must be done online, and the public is invited to fill in the nomination form for individuals or charitable organizations which fit the categories and criteria outlined on the application form. To access the nomination form, visit the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage website. On Saturday, September 17th, the Cayman Islands Government Office in the United Kingdom will host the 2nd annual Cayman Day in the UK, a special event in London for Caymanians and friends from across the UK and Europe. This year's event will take place at the Snoozebox Canary Wharf Hotel in London. Over 100 Caymanians and friends joined last year's Cayman Day. Cayman Brack's oldest resident, Vera Virginia Rankin, has died at the age of 102. Mrs. Rankin died in hospital last Monday. Mrs. Rankin lived at the Kirkconnell Community Care Center for the last 7 years and was hospitalized last month after becoming ill. A Thanksgiving service for the life of Mrs. Rankin will be held at 2 p.m. next Sunday, September 11th, at the Church of God Holiness Spot Bay in Cayman Brack. Those attending the funeral services are asked to wear blue, which is Mrs. Rankin's favorite color.
Stormwatch 2022 is brought to you by Home Gas, your propane experts before, during, and after the storm.
It's getting busy in the tropics. The National Hurricane Center is tracking 3 systems Hurricane Danielle is located about 900 miles west of the Azores. Now, Danielle is expected to turn subtropical later this week. Right now, it poses no threat to land. Now, there's also Tropical Storm Earl. It got close to the Leeward Islands and is now eyeing Bermuda. Tropical Storm Earl is forecast to strengthen to a hurricane by the middle of the weekend. A major hurricane will be the first of the season by the weekend if it does that. Now, the third system being monitored is a tropical wave off the west coast of Africa, southeast of the Cabo Verde Islands. Now, this system has a medium chance of turning into a named storm sometime this week. We'll keep our eyes on that system for sure. Now, we are in September, which is when the tropics get a lot more active, so be storm ready, Cayman. Now, for your CMR weather update, is brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:11. Partly cloudy skies today. The temperature rises to the high 80s when the high temperature is at 87 degrees Fahrenheit and the relative humidity is at 69% like the forecast calls for. The temperature will feel around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then the sun sets at 6:37. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the low 80s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. Remember, it is summertime, so those hot days, warm nights with scattered showers are very typical for this time of year. CMR weather updates are brought to you by WG Charters. They offer private boat trips for a great price, so we encourage you to support them. Now for some regional and international news. Flooding in Pakistan is now responsible for approximately 1,300 lives lost and 12,500 people injured. Over 33 million affected, including over 6.4 million in dire need for humanitarian aid. More than one-third of Pakistan is underwater, according to satellite images from the European Space Agency. Mighty Sparrow, the undisputed Calypso King of the world, was baptized on Saturday at Far Rockaway Beach in Queens, New York. According to media reports, 87-year-old Sparrow, whose real name is Slinger Francisco, now resides in Queens, and he was dressed in all white for the water baptism, and he is now known as Brother Francisco. Liz Truss will be the UK's next Prime Minister after winning the Conservative Party's leadership contest on Monday. She served as Boris Johnson's Foreign Secretary for the past year and won 57% of the votes of Conservative Party members to become its leader. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Happy Tuesday. It is September the 6th. Hope you guys are having a fabulous day. Just here doing a few things in the background while you guys were enjoying and listening to the news. Lots of comments coming in about all sorts of stuff. We'll get to some of those here in a minute. So we have a full week ahead of us scheduled. Hopefully you guys will enjoy what we've got on tap for you. So tomorrow on Wednesday's program, I'm glad to say that we are going to have our first of probably what will be a two-part series on the changing face of media in the Cayman Islands and beyond. Now, this isn't the first time that we've had this discussion. We had it, I think, about 2 years ago during the COVID pandemic. We had sort of our media, friends from all over the world join us. We had Jacqueline from the Miami Herald. She covers the English-speaking Caribbean and does a lot of, reporting out of Haiti as well. And she joined us. We had a few of our Jamaican partners. When I say partners, I mean, there's a sisterhood and brotherhood of media, and they joined us as well. So that was super, super interesting. So this time we have some new people. We've got someone from Turks and Caicos that is going to be joining us. We've got a guy from Jamaica. His name is Andre Stevens. He is a big time blogger. A lot of you may know him. He has quite an interesting following. He does a lot of like the sort of court news and anything that's happening in Jamaica. He's like the social media king at the moment that people go through. And we also have Mr. Ron Grant, who is also going to be joining us on the program as well. So very, very excited to have those individuals coming on tomorrow as we talk about the changing face of media. And it is changing very, very quickly. And it's one of those things that if you're in the space of media and you're not keeping up, my dear, you might actually get left behind. So we have Mr. Damian Wilson, who is also going to be joining us from Radio Turks and Caicos. So yeah, so a very good contingent. We'll put that up on the website a little bit later on so that you can see who all of these individuals are. So we've got Mr. Damien, we've got myself, Mr. Ron Grant, who's from 284 Media, and Andre Stevens, who is a Jamaican blogger that is followed by a lot of folks. And we may have another woman. We haven't yet gotten confirmation on that front, but we may have another woman who's joining us as well. And then the next part 2 of that show, which we're going to try to arrange either for next week or the week after, we're going to have Caymanian content creators, and they run the gamut, and they're in a, content creation in this day and age. It's like very, very broad. So some of these guys are into video production, and, they do promotions and marketing, and they're going to be joining us talking about some of the unique challenges that they face here in the Cayman Islands and why they think it's so challenging for especially government to get caught up with the times. And this is a struggle even in the traditional space of media that we face as well. Like, they just don't get it. They don't get how you have to innovate and how you have to do things differently. And, even trying to get them to come on a program and talk to the people directly is literally worse than pulling teeth. Like, it is a very, very difficult exercise. We believe in transparency. We believe in having access. That's one of the reasons why when we reached out to the premier and said, hey, Premier Panton, would you be willing to come on and do Premier Access? And he said, sure. How does it work? What are the logistics? He was game. And we need that type of mentality because you, the people, have elected these individuals. You haven't elected the civil servants, but they do work for you. And so you should have ready access to those individuals as much as possible. But it is very, very challenging. On the political front, I say to these guys, and it's very, very tongue-in-cheek. You guys saw that J.E. Banks came on for the first time a couple weeks back. But I say to them, I said, listen to me. Your ability to communicate with the public and the public to have access to you is an important part of you being a representative of the voters, of the people, of the public, right? And so I would think that you would, take every opportunity to be able to do that when it's being made available to you. And so I say straight up to them, if I were you, I would take it now when it comes at no cost to you, as opposed to you waiting 8 months before a general election and then trying to launch a campaign where you want to sell us and why you should get our votes. And then at that point, I'm going to charge you a premium to do so. I'm just saying. Take it from me. Good advice. Get yourselves together now. And the people also need to recognize, in my opinion, that if someone doesn't avail themselves or make themselves available to you over 4 years and you only hear from them 8 weeks before an election, you got to really wonder, how busy were they? They're too busy to even talk to the people. Even the president of the United States will have at least a quarterly or, every 6 months or whatever, a State of the Union address, right? They're going to come out and say hello and talk to the people. And, those things are necessary. It's necessary to understand a direction, policy direction, even that a government is headed in. And, when we live in a small island nation, I think it's even more important for you to be able to have access to your elected officials. So Evelyn, Ms. Sue says, wow, unbelievable. I'm not sure what that's in relation to, but okay. Evelyn says, welcome to CMR, Andre. Yes, honey child, he's going to be the showstopper. Lots of people know who he is. And literally when he goes lives, he gets like thousands of people on his live streams. I'm totally super psyched and pumped about that. And I am very, very accepting of non-traditional media. So people who are in a different space. It doesn't have to be this cookie cutter, we've been around for 40 years, we have a printed newspaper, and this is the formula we use. No, media has changed, right? There are people who've even come out CMR has been around now for 5 years. We're still in infancy. We're still babies, but there are people who've come out since us that are doing different things. They don't do exactly what we do. They offer a slightly different way of covering information and putting stuff out there. Sometimes they are in a like we cover a lot of traditional news, but then we do sort of the social media stuff, the stuff that's popping off that we know you guys are interested in any event, right? So we do all of that as well. And there's some people who will just do that. They don't really cover like traditional news per se. So, you have options and you have choices of where you can get your news from. We've got this talk show program, which is a complement to the traditional online news platform and our social media content as well. So yeah, we're all about growing and developing and keeping relevant and educating the public about what's out there. So Miss Iva says, I watch him every night. Evelyn's excited that he's coming on, and she says that she does watch him every night as well. So yes, he will be here. Cameron is asking about Jared. Somebody else was asking me, I think it was last week, about Jared. I haven't seen him in a while. If him and I have fallen out, no. Jared is just busy. Remember now, folks, that Jared is actually a university student. So Jared has stuff going on, honey child. And I think he's just been focusing on his studies. And, he's also a young entrepreneur. So he's been doing that as well. So, yeah, I've spoken to Jared about whether or not he wants to kind of do, let me see if he wants to come say hi to y'all, because y'all look like you're missing Jared these days. I've spoken to him about if he wants to do the youth show that we've been trying to launch for quite some time. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline. We've got the cooking show. We have our youth show that we've been talking about for a minute that we do want to launch as well. Some of it, we need sponsors for, and we need to work out recording logistics and all that sort of stuff. But there is room for growth on this platform. You guys see now we're doing the daily news. We've got Kevin doing news and weather. Misha is wanting to work on special projects. She has to wait a little bit because she's got her daycare and baby situation. So she's busy being a mom first and foremost, which is the most important job in the world. So hats off to her. We've got Renee, who continues to hold down the fort here on CMR with a lot of her, government press releases and stories. And, there's certain amount of writing that I do. It kind of depends. I'm kind of like the investigative one, and I'm always the one who's digging for the additional information. And of course, there will be things that people will share with me that they're not going to share with anybody else. And, I'm here for that. So listen, speaking of that, let me give y'all a bit of breaking news right here, right now. Y'all want to hear something? Just literally just got the email. Looks like government is getting with the program a little bit. Woohoo! Congratulations to the government. They are going to be launching a WhatsApp channel to provide news, information, and guidance on topics of national importance. Thank you. Somebody's paying attention. Kevin, did you hear that? Kevin's going to be like, what? They're finally getting a WhatsApp public access. That's amazing. Good on them. This is the kind of innovation that we like to hear about and what we like to see. So I'm going to send this straight over to Renee and Kevin right now so that they can have it as one of the news stories for this evening. But thank you. Can we say it's about time? Even the World Health Organization has a WhatsApp number that you can reach them. BBC has a WhatsApp number. This is the type of move that is required in this day and age. People are taking in their news differently. It's so ironic that I was talking about, media and this type of thing as that email came in. But yes, people are taking news in differently. They're communicating with each other differently. And WhatsApp is one of the methods that people use to access each other very, very quickly, to ask questions. I mean, I field tons of WhatsApp questions on a regular basis. So congratulations to the government. This is a good move. And this demonstrates in part that somebody's kind of listening, and I'm glad to see that. There are always ways to make improvements. Now, obviously, they'll have to go about advertising the WhatsApp number and making sure that you have access to it. And of course, you'll have to know, what you're using that number for. So Stacy's here for it. Stacy says Andre Stevens tomorrow on CMR. Bangarang. Yes. Cameron says, I just like when he goes in hard on the government. Well, we're here for it. But yes, young Jared has been busy taking care of his own affairs first and foremost, which is really super, super important to do, to prioritize those things. So listen, speaking of going hard on the government, I do want to mention that I'm a little bit disappointed. Over the weekend, I had the opportunity to do an interview. So if you've not heard about this, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about this right now. We have a special series called Cayman Voices. We finally have a sponsor for that segment. I'm super, super excited about it. It's all about Cayman heritage, history, culture through the individual stories of our people. So everyone has a story to tell, and the most fascinating people and the most fascinating stories come from our elders, people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and potentially even beyond. These people are amazing. I mean, the life that they would have experienced. We did an interview over the weekend, and this person was saying to me, I'm not going to give away because you guys got to watch it. It's just amazing. He was talking about, having gone off to sea as a young man at the age of 18, 19 years old, some of the things that he experienced. But this was a time when Cayman had 5 cars. I was like, Cayman had only 5 cars? No, I think he said the district of West Bay had 4 or 5 cars. And he's like, we could identify the cars and knew who they were for based on the headlights at night, because I guess they had different headlights and whatever. And also the horn, different sounds of the horn and whatever. We knew who that was, car number 2 that belonged to so-and-so down in West Bay. And I was like, this is so amazing. I cannot imagine living in a world where your little district of West Bay only had 5 cars. That was it. Those are the people who could afford vehicles back in the day. And a lot of our people grew up poor by, I guess, certain standards. And yet they were still great people. They went away and did things. They worked hard, sent money back on these ships to their families. And so we are going about collecting these stories. And I'm so tickled pink to be in an opportunity to be able to capture this information and to be able to capture these memories before they're gone. And this is a reality that our people and the history that comes with them is quickly disappearing. The lady who just died in Cayman Brac, she was the oldest resident in Cayman Brac at 104 years old. I'm so saddened that I would not have had the opportunity to get to her. And I keep asking people, if you know of someone who is a little bit older, maybe they're on the decline, please, before they've declined too much, let me know and I will arrange as quickly as possible an interview with that individual. Miss Georgette, I want to do Miss Georgette, but I'm not really sure. I think I need to try and reach out to a family member of hers to see what her cognitive level is, because obviously, if somebody has already started to have dementia set in, maybe a little bit of Alzheimer's, whatever, it's difficult to do those types of interviews. But anybody in Cayman, we're targeting the older population first and foremost. Captain Paul Hurlston is on my list. Loxley Banks. If you know of anyone that I should be talking to, please send me their information. If you've got a contact number for them or their caretakers, please send that through to me. And so I had a fabulous weekend of doing an interview on Saturday morning with Mr. Hold on now. Burlington in West Bay. And I must tell you that quite ironically enough, his stories were off the chain. There was a couple stories that I was like, what? Mr. Winslow Burlington. And even how he got the name Burlington, you will discover during the interview. So stay tuned. We're going to play these segments. We're hoping to do 2 a month, and we are going to play them during the morning show. This is all about capturing the essence of who we are as a people. So good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Miss Sandra. I really don't know the media program because radio not working, blah, 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 blah. But I just thought that the country should hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep in touch with the young people sometime. And this is what a young person told me this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, politician promised house upgrades and road fixed up, and we can build you a bridge too. You know, you want a bridge. Somebody in the crowd shout and say, "But we don't have any rivers. We don't need no bridge." Politicians say, "Noted. We can get that for you too." So I just put that out there because I thought it was so appropriate, but so funny and just very jaded and very tired, you know. But I think people need to hear that. So you have a nice day. Can't listen in for 2 days now, so I really don't know what's going on. I hear that you're going around doing things that I know should have been done decades ago. It's gone. It's gone. So again, thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. All right. So I need to try to get Charlene sorted out. I just messaged someone about her radio situation. We're gonna get you sorted out, Charlene. Don't worry. Yes, I mean, listen, I can't stress enough how important our history is. I wish that I had a recorder back in the day capturing some of the stuff that my dad would have been saying about going off to sea, and some of the stories. And when I'm interviewing these men and women, for the record, the women they might not have been off to sea, but a lot of times they were home working jobs, sometimes even being entrepreneurs. They were supporting the families. They were making sure that they were holding the fort down so that these men could go overseas and work to be able to send money back and have a family to support. And those are important roles. And so when I was interviewing Mr. Norman Bodden earlier, I was looking at his wife, who's still in the kitchen, who was there cooking that day. I can't remember what she was making, but she was kneading something and making sure that her husband, even in their senior years, was going to have a good lunch and be taken care of. And I thought, wow, Cayman women traditionally have a history of really being caretakers for their families. And some were, like I said, entrepreneurs, and they were out there hustling just as much as the men, but oftentimes just in a different way, raising the family, running a business. And so we need to be talking to them as well. So this isn't male or female, anybody can be part of this conversation. And I do want to interview as many people as possible. So Live says, Ms. Dolly Solomon at Barton Town would be a great person to interview, a must. If you have any contact information for Ms. Dolly and or her family members, please send that through to me on the WhatsApp number. I would really, really appreciate that. So yes, the project has started in earnest now that we have a sponsor that has been gracious enough to assist us with getting this done. It takes a little bit of a production, believe it or not. I've got to take a videographer along with me to capture and record all of these things. We have to get mic'd up and check audio and video and, all these bits and pieces. And then he has to take time to actually put the final product together. And it's not just about Grand Cayman. If you knew people in Little Cayman and Cayman Brac, let's not forget that we are the Cayman Islands. There's 3 of us. And so we do not want to forget our brothers and sisters on the sister islands as well. And we're going to have to travel over there, I'm sure, to capture some of those Cayman voices in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. So do let us know. We're trying to schedule them, like I said, as quickly as possible. We do have a lady who is, she is 100 years old, and we're trying to schedule an interview with her. But as I understand, her son, who is 77, is going to be assisting us with that interview because she does have some limitations. So we accommodate whatever situations that we can as much as possible. It's just a matter of organizing everything. This Thursday. All right. So okay. So yes, that is coming. So yes. Okay. All right. So a couple of things I wanted to just touch on that is in the news this morning. First of all, Cayman Airways has addressed, I guess, our concerns about the pilots and the situation. I kind of get the sense that they they missed the boat a little bit, that they are not really understanding what the concerns are. And maybe it's not a question of them not understanding the concerns, but of them not really wanting to address it head on. So of course, there was some quote or some comment about, oh, the media has it wrong. Like he's not getting any additional benefits. This is referring to Captain Cal Thompson being promoted. And we never said, we asked the question because I'm like, what's the point really? Except to, I guess, allow him to retire as a captain. We never said that he was getting any additional benefits as a captain the next 6 months. We asked the question, like, why would you do it? And we said, is there anything different with a captain in terms of your retirement and what you would get as a captain? We didn't think that there was. And really, this is just about trying to make Captain Cal Thompson leave out as a captain. On some level, I understand that and I get it. But, when you have your other first officers and pilots saying, yeah, but you know what? We've been here working all this time. And to be quite frank and honest, we've been working extremely hard. We've not left the organization and we were next in line. We did the simulation training, et cetera, et cetera. And, you still have essentially ignored us to promote someone. It is your own pilots that are unhappy with the situation. They're the ones who are talking about this, whether they're speaking internally and that is through others getting to us or whatever. That is really what the situation is. And so as is often the case with a lot of organizations, they are clueless when it comes to taking the pulse of what is happening within their own organizations. And that's for them to address. I'm not your HR manager, thank God. You have got to do a better job of knowing why a lot of your Caymanian pilots have left. Because I do think we're having a bit of a talent drain, if you will, with all of the pilots that have left. We've had William Bodden leave. We've had Jamal Eswick. We've just had the McTaggart kid. And I know that there have been others. So we've lost at least 5 or 6 pilots. Cayman Airways has said, oh, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But it's unfortunate that they see it that way, because I think any Caymanian or any industry where you see Caymanians starting to say, okay, I have to leave this profession, even the medical profession, when Caymanians are saying I have to leave this country in order to go work somewhere else and use my talent on some Arab airline in UE or wherever, in the United Arab Emirates, as opposed to using that skill set in the Cayman Islands. I think, it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that Cayman Airways doesn't get the point that is happening. I don't care if you got 1,000 pilots in the wake. The fact that you are losing Caymanians only, and I mean multi-generational, bona fide Caymanians, should make you pause and at least have the conversation as to why these pilots are leaving. And the fact that you ignore it and you think, it's not a big deal, I don't care, they're just replaceable, is concerning to me. Like that shouldn't be the approach that you take. So we had sent in some FOI questions in relation to this. I don't think they ever really addressed the FOI questions directly, or they weren't really FOI. We just sent media questions. They didn't really address the media questions per se. They came back then with this press release to say what they wanted to say. Okay, well, I guess it is what it is. But if I were Cayman Airways, I would definitely pay a little bit more attention to your pilots in particular. All of your staff, but definitely the pilots. So good luck to them all. Cal Thompson will be in the position, I think his birthday must be in February. So he turns 65 in late February. And after that point, he is no longer permitted to fly, because the mandatory retirement age is 65 years old. So they said that reinstating Captain Thompson provided an extremely low cost and easily achievable solution in the fastest possible manner for the airline. And that he's a very experienced former jet captain and training supervisor himself. Nobody's disputing any of that. I think the issue really is that the other men who'd never left the organization, first officers and so on, were saying, hey, Look at us. We're still here. We've done the simulation testing. We passed it. Someone made the observation to me that they believe the powers that be at Cayman Airways did not think that the other officers were going to pass the simulation training. This is what someone says. Because they also said that Mr. Worms, it says here, said that contrary to information circulating in mainstream and social media, Captain Thompson will not be deriving any additional material retirement benefit as a result of this upgrade when he retires in early 2023, nor has his upgrade resulted in any displacement, bypassing, or delays with the promotion of any other current first officers. Well, this is what one of them had to say. They said it did bypass those guys, so that's a lie. Just giving it to you straight. And the problem was that at the start, they tried to say that those guys could not pass the assessment. And when they were proven wrong and they did pass, then they all of a sudden, had cake on their faces. So people do not agree with Mr. Worm's sentiment that it was not a displacement. They're saying, yes, it is. So there you go. You believe what you want to believe. Because, when they don't want you to believe something, they try the Trump card, as we call it around here, where they're like, oh, social media or the media doesn't get it right. And it's like, okay, if you say so. I find that a lot of times the media has the exact pulse of, this media house has the exact pulse of exactly what is going down and what's happening. Just because it's not a pretty picture doesn't mean that that's not what it is. And I would really implore the powers that be at Cayman Airways to pay attention to your pilots a little bit more, listen to them. They have been on the verge of striking more than once in recent times. Strikes have been diverted. I'm not telling y'all a speculation. I know this for a fact. Strikes have been diverted at the 11th hour with our pilots because, somebody ran in there. Okay, don't strike. Why have we even gotten to that point where our pilots wanted to strike? If that's not an indication that something is clearly wrong, I don't know what else is. Okay. And it's not us over here in the space of media making this stuff up. So Cameron says that's an awesome initiative. Good job, Sandy. Our elders are a national treasure and symbol. Oh, most certainly, Cameron. And I've been talking about this project for years now, and we've done a couple, and I've wanted to do so many more. And it takes time because, like I said, we have to go in there and spend close to normally a couple hours in order to get even an hour's worth of content. And then there's post-production stuff that has to take place and to happen as well. So, it's an amazing opportunity for me to be able to bring our individual stories, our collective stories, our history and culture to this platform for everybody to enjoy. So good morning to Christine. So good to see you. Miss Sue says very concerning. Yes, I think she's talking about the Cayman Airways situation. Jamal says they won't pay attention to why people are leaving. And to me, that is a really sad position for them to be in because they seem to be kind of clueless. And, sometimes we are clueless in life because it's what's called willful ignorance. So in other words, you don't care to know, and that's why you don't know. So caller, good morning and welcome to the program. Hello.
Good morning. How you doing?
Hi, morning. How are you?
Good.
Wonderful. What's on your mind today?
I can't help but tell you that your multitask skills has defied what I learned about concentration.
Oh my gosh. Tell me why do you say that?
I sit here watching you on YouTube, and my goodness, I sit here watching you switching from subject to subject. And I really can't help. I'm rushing off to go and get my student, but I said, let me spend 2 minutes to tell you. I know you're eloquent enough to tell me. You tell me your definition for concentration, then I'll tell you mine. Then you'll realize that you have to define what concentration is all about.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it.
Make
I
it
mean,
short. I don't want to keep up your
yeah.
time, and I want to go and get my student.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I'm not hearing your definition.
Oh, you want
I'm
me
gonna
to
give a
you
mine.
want me to give you a definition of concentration?
Yes, and I'm gonna give a mine.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's the ability to be able to focus at some level, not particularly well, on something. So, the action of focusing on something. So giving it your mental effort and attention.
Okay, good. Okay, get mine. It's coming. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Based on what I see you doing here this morning, you have defied my definition.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Concentration is the full application of one's mind and body to a particular endeavor to the complete exclusion from everything not relevant to that endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. I'm going for my student. Goodbye. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Bye.
All right. So thank you, caller. He's going to get his driving student. I'm starting to recognize certain voices now, so I know exactly who that is. Yeah. So listen, yes, part of what I do is multitasking on this show. I've told you guys before that the brain actually doesn't really do well depending on the type of task that you're doing, but the brain doesn't necessarily do really well at multitasking. For a lot of people, it's not something that's recommended. It's a bit of a facade, if you will. But I don't have the luxury of having a production team. There are people who have shows, just to talk about what this caller is really saying here. There are people who have shows that have people on the back end bringing up the slides for them, doing the videos, doing the research, all that kind of stuff. And that isn't, I don't have that luxury. We're on a tight budget over here at CMR. So I do all of that myself for the morning show. And so traditional radio, even I remember when I had Straight Talk way back in, I think that was like 2009, 2010, I had someone answering the phones. I think that I want to say that I believe I might have operated the board myself. So days before that, sometimes you had someone who would like work the board and whatever for you. But I kind of think that I had learned at that point how to do the board, but I still had a separate person in another room, pre-screening the calls and answering the calls, and then they push the calls through to the studio. But yeah, it does take a lot. Boards are, I've got my own board here in this particular studio. It's filled with technology and super small these days. I'll show you guys on screen who are watching, but it's not as big as the big boards or like in the traditional studios, but it still allows me to do a lot of what I do. I've got a professional microphone and my windscreen thing that you guys see here. So yeah, multiple cameras, a lot is definitely going on. So I appreciate that caller understanding at some level what is actually happening in the background. And sometimes you'll catch me, sometimes you'll catch me losing concentration. And normally I lose concentration when I have to read WhatsApp messages, because that's like another screen. So I've got 3 screens in front of me. I know y'all want to see the behind the scenes picture here, but I've got 3 screens in front of me. One is just my time clock, because I got to constantly be mindful of the time. And then I've got my dual computer screens that allow me to do different things. I'm reading the website over here. I'm reading comments from Mr. Worms. I'm reading your social media. It's a lot that's going on, but thank you. So this person jokingly says, I'm going to tell Marlon, he's flirting with you, #fanboy. Oh no. Someone is also asking, by the way, did he give you the code book? So they haven't forgotten that he promised that he would do that. And someone else said, girl, I just listened to 10 minutes of a history lesson on Marco Polo this morning when I should have been listening to you. Bobo, not always reliable. So if a crazy woman like Lavelle is defending Tiffany, what does that say about Tiffany? Oh, geez, peace. Woo, I am not even going to go there because that's just crazy. Yeah. I don't know if y'all saw this video that was trending over the weekend, but Lavelle decided to join Lavelle is the one who was twerking and whatever. So she decided to join the conversation about Miss Cayman. She's defending Miss Cayman, which doesn't surprise me. Crazy knows crazy, and crazy identifies with crazy. Let me sip this hot tea this morning. But I decided over the weekend, when the video started to be circulated, that I was not going to entertain it. There are certain things that after a while, that you don't even give the time of day to. And so this is the analogy that I sent to my people on WhatsApp, because they kept sending me the video. And this is what I sent out to them on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday. What day was that? It was Sunday. So I said to them, because people kept sending me the video and they were distracting me, and I didn't watch the full thing because I don't have 8 minutes of my life to waste on hearing someone talk pure foolishness. And the thing about Lavelle that I find really disturbing, she claims that she's a Christian, but her type of Christianity is all about bringing down hell and damnation on the Cayman Islands. And my position is very, very simple, honey child. Let me make it as simple as I possibly can. If you don't like the Cayman Islands and you think we're such horrible people and you want to feel like you can bring down brimstone and hell and damnation on us, get on the next plane and get your behind back to Kingston. Nobody ain't stopping you, child. In fact, we would help you pack. We would help you pack that suitcase. Okay. And you could get a reprieve from having to support you. And so, yes, I'm going to be totally salty here in the moment, but I have no qualms at telling you to go back home. We gave you status and part of the status grants in 2013. You didn't deserve it. You didn't earn it, and you should have never gotten it. Simple. And a lot of people, unfortunately, who got it in 2003 didn't deserve it, didn't earn it, and shouldn't have gotten it. And Lavelle is one of those people why we can't get rid of her. But, she tries to use what she thinks is her, I guess, website or her Facebook platform or whatever to push out these really crazy videos. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of people like crazy. I know y'all do. Whenever we have something on this program that's a little bit like crazy, y'all be tuned in more than ever. That's what you like. That's part of human nature. We like to see a train wreck, if you will. And so over the weekend, I sent out the following message to my WhatsApp news group. I said, please note that I've received Crazy Lavelle's latest social media rant. No need to send it to me, I beg of you, because they were sending it, right? Some of us actually have real work to do instead of relying on NAU to survive. Unfortunately, she's an attention whore, and I won't be the one pleasuring her today. On this occasion, she'll have to learn the art of self-pleasure because, that's what she can get from the video. And of course, that was a little laughing out loud moment. She made some comment about John Crow's coming to get you. And so I said, I haven't watched it. And her at John Crow Badmouth can go and sit her backside down. And I told them on another note, make sure you tune into the program tomorrow. So that's all I can say about that situation, Shell. Moving on to more important topics. Good morning, Christine. Aliano says, is it the ever-ending theme of natives out, expat in Cayman Airways has been, Aliano, what are you saying? This one's confused me. Is it the ever-ending theme of natives out, expat in Cayman Airways has been a mess for a while now? I think something's missing in that, but I don't even know. I don't think this is an expat versus anybody Caymanian situation at Cayman Airways. Cal Thompson is a Caymanian. Of course he's a Caymanian. A lot of these pilots that have left are Caymanians. This is really just about if people have been in line, and this is the succession. This is how it works, right? You're in line because of your longevity, and then you have to pass certain markers in terms of the exams and the test that you sit. Then you kind of know who should be next in line unless something unusual is going on with that person's training. And that didn't happen. And so they have messed with the equilibrium, if you will, at Cayman Airways, and people are asking why. Paul is asking that if you retire at a higher rank, does that mean more money in your pension? Well, presumably a captain gets paid more. But again, I don't even think that that's what this is about. Cal Thompson is, I'm sure, a comfortable millionaire in his own right. He owns multiple businesses. The Wyndham, is it still the Wyndham Hotel? What else is he into? Century 21, real estate. So I don't think that Cal Thompson needs any more money in the little pension kitty jar. Like I said, I think this is just about an esteem situation to say, oh, I retired as Captain Cal Thompson. So Aliana says, if Captain Thompson has the capability, I don't see where there's an issue. Well, I think the issue, as we've identified, is that other people were in line, in their opinion, before Cal Thompson. And so they're a bit surprised that this happened. Aliano says Mr. Worm should come on with whoever is flight manager and explain the situation in detail. Don't hold your breath for that. And Cameron says, you're too much. Give you a ride to Owen Roberts too. Yes, we would arrange a ride for Laval. Honey, child, please. We would give her first class service if she promised to leave the Cayman Islands. Speaking of her, haven't heard anything about her court case and where it's at, but we'll see. She's got the best possible lawyer at the dime, on the people's dime. So we'll see how all of that plans out for her. So 8 more minutes in the program, folks. Listen, the other interesting thing that was on the news yesterday, other than this response from Cayman Airways, is that the government has given some pensioners sort of a one-time payment. So a lot of people were confused by this. They're like, Miss Sandy, I don't understand what this means. Am I going to get it? So there's some questions about eligibility. And so from what I've been able to ascertain, and I think there's like different groups of like pensioners and that sort of thing. So I don't want to speak too authoritatively on this, but from how I understand it to work, if you are a pensioner retired from the civil service, you will actually be receiving the equivalent of a payment of $450. So what this payment is, how they had done the payments for, I think some civil servants had gotten like an extra $150 for 4 months or whatever. This is sort of the equivalent of that. And so the pensioners are going to get $450 extra. It's a one-off payment to offset or to assist with the increased cost of living during these next months. So again, public service pensioners will receive a one-off payment of $450 on Thursday, September the 1st, which means you would have gotten it already, to assist with the increased living expenses linked to higher fuel costs. And the payment was funded by Cabinet, and it was added to the pension payment for August. So it's a one-off payment which matches the $150 per month honorarium that was given to civil servants for June, July, and August. And the Premier has basically said that the impact of the sharp increase in the cost of living is especially pronounced for our pensioners whose pensions represent a fixed income, and that this initiative is an example of how the government is trying to help people survive the rising cost of living. Now, we need to dig a little bit deeper, and I saw someone just calling me, but I was wondering if they were calling the wrong number. 936-2626 is the show number if you want to call in. Just a quick note about the oops, hold on. 936-2626. Just a quick note, folks, about the cost of living. We need to spend quite a bit more time on this topic than time will allow us here today. But this is a situation that is impacting people all over the world, from teachers in California asking students and parents if they can move in and live with them so that they can remain in the state of California and continue to teach their children. That's how crazy it's gotten. I saw another story where a lady was talking about, she's packing her lunch for the kids and she's trying to decide, do I buy lunch for the children or do I pay for gas? I mean, people all over the world are having to make some really, really tough decisions, and Cayman is no exception. I had a parent, a single mom, message me yesterday and say, Miss Sandy, I'm having to right now decide, am I going to pay for my car insurance or am I going to pay my CUC bill? That's tough because you got to pay the CUC bill to keep the electricity on, right? And at the same time, you can't be driving around in the streets of the Cayman Islands without your car insurance because that's against the law, and that'll get your license taken away for a year. And if you've got kids and you need to get them here, there, to and fro, you better have your car licensed and properly insured. And this is what this young lady said to me. She said, it is what it is. I was a single mom for years. My 17-year-old has received nothing from his father. How sad is that? Deadbeat dads contributing to the problem. So I am used to budgeting and finding things for cheap or free. But now with a loving and supportive fiance, I really don't think we can still be in the boat. So, having a second income and splitting the bills, and you have a fiance, you got a live-in boyfriend, you get married, whatever, that's someone that then you can share your expenses with. This is the realities of, sometimes you can't even get a mortgage without having a spouse or someone else to co-sign on that mortgage. These are some of the realities that people are having to deal with. And even this particular young lady is saying, even though I'm now in a little bit of a better situation, I still find myself struggling. We do have a finance person who's going to be coming in the program. And, we need to be talking to them about what are some of the things that we can do. How can we help ourselves, essentially, to kind of, get through these tough times, because the tough times are not, the financially tough times, folks, are actually not going anywhere. So there are things that we can do. On tomorrow's program, like I said, we're going to have our media discussion. Thursday is going to be our Consumer Thursday. We do have a young man from the Philippines who has been gypped out of some money for a work permit. Y'all need to stop doing this, because every opportunity we get, we're going to let both enforcement know over at Works and Immigration and the government that you're forcing people to pay for their own work permits, promising them jobs that you have no work for them to do. And, he's going to come on the program talking about why he can't get back his $1,000 from this guy that he has given his hard-earned money to. A very, very unfortunate situation. Right. And that's what it is. So, yeah. Oh, he's just said he's going to have to cancel it because he's afraid. You see, this is why people are being abused, right? You cannot come to me. And again, this is a different approach that we have had to take. If you want my help, this is the bottom line. I am here to stand with you, not for you. I'm here to stand with you. You have to be bold and bring your story forward. These people operate on the fact that you are going to be afraid to speak up and expose them for who they are. So that's unfortunate. If you don't want to do it, you're all the way in the Philippines. He's hoping eventually he can come back to the Cayman Islands. You just lost $1,000 and you're going to have to eat that loss. If you want to do something about that situation, I can help you do something about that situation. And we've helped many people get their money back. But if you don't have the gumption to do it, then I can't force you to do it. And it is what it is. Folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning right here on The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure you tune in bright and early for our media segment.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.